Alright, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a visualization that looks just like this, where you're measuring an average across maybe an amount of time, in this case a quantity, but you don't want just the line plot of the average in Tableau. You want to have a confidence interval that gives you a distribution that you can see as you're moving across a variable such as quantity. So in this, we're looking at quantity versus sales. But I'm going to go ahead and open a new tab and show you how you can visualize the cross-validation. It's definitely a little bit tricky in Tableau, but once you get the hang out of it, it's not that bad. So the first thing that we want to do is just add our variables that we're interested in. We're interested in sales, and we are looking at it across quantity. So we're going to have to show quantity as a dimension and sales as an average. Okay, so that's the first step. You probably already know how to get here. But as far as showing the confidence interval, the first thing we have to do is make two fields that are the minimum and the maximum of our confidence interval. So if you remember the confidence interval formula for the minimum and maximum, actually, wait, it's the wrong window. Here is the formula that we want to be looking at. The confidence interval is between the average plus or minus a z-score, which we're going to do a 95% confidence interval. I'm pretty sure that has a 1.96 as its z-score, 1.96. And then 1.96 times the standard deviation divided by the square root of the number of elements in a sample. Okay. So we're just going to do that. We're going to use that formula to create the max and min for the confidence interval in our sales data visualization. So let's go analysis, create calculated field. We'll do min CI, sales, min CI. Okay, so average, that's just your average of sales. Yeah, and since it's min, we're going to want to do minus. Our z-score is going to be 1.96 times standard deviation. Okay, so it looks like everything's right with that. So we should have no problem adding this. Okay, then we're gonna calculate the max. So we can do that by, instead of rewriting all of that, we can just duplicate this, rename our copy as the max, and then edit that, and all you have to change is the minus to a plus, and you have the top bounds of our confidence interval. So that's added. We have two aggregate examples of how the boundaries of the confidence interval. So the next step is to add our measure values, and unfortunately when you do this it adds all the measure values. I haven't quite figured out how to work around that, but we have the values that we're interested in are the ones that we just created, which were we named it sales max and sales min CI. So we can just shift, delete everything before that, and then delete this last one. And then what we're going to do is add our measure values up here. We're going to make this a dual axis so that it has everything, and we're going to synchronize the axes. So we don't have the area highlighted in here, but we're at the point where we have the confidence interval is showing up. This is our average sales. This is the sales max of the confidence interval, and that's the sales min of the 95% confidence interval. The next step after this is the part, though, that you guys are probably looking to figure out, which is how to highlight the area in between the lines. So all we have to do, and actually, since we want the line, this will be evident later, but we want to switch these so that the line that we have for sales is going to be in front of the highlighted area that we have. So our next step is to change the measure values on the marks to area marks. And now it has everything highlighted. Oops. So we want to look at changing measure names from a detail to a color as well. And the final step is to go in, edit your colors. You can double click the min and make everything under the min white or whatever your background is. And you can click OK, and boom, there is your confidence interval visualization. There's a little bit more cleaning up to do, such as deleting the header and editing this. And maybe a little bit more cleanup. But after that, you have a visualization that shows the confidence interval across an average across a changing quantity. All right, I hope you enjoyed.